Queensland suffered a record defeat against New South Wales last week, going down 50-6 in the first game of State of Origin, arguably Australia's biggest sporting event. Naturally, there has been an inquest into the result, the historic failure and the general malaise that currently afflicts rugby league in Queensland. Outside of the state representative team, all of their representatives in the National Rugby League, NRL, are currently underperforming, with their showpiece club and traditionally the biggest provider of talent to the Queensland Maroons, the Brisbane Broncos, second last in the ladder. Prior to the game, New South Wales had been accused of leaning too heavily on the Penrith Panthers, one of the clear standout teams in the NRL, when they picked 6 players from the club for their side. On one side, there were those who thought that the Panthers were too inexperienced, with 3 making their debuts at Origin level, while on the other, there were those who posited that bringing the unit in collectively could only bolster the Blues. With Jarome, Luai and Brian To'o among the standouts on the night, the latter case was proven true. It seemed worthwhile finding out if this theory held any water on an organizational level, however, and there is a clear expert in this field. Former Australian Rugby Union international Ben Darwin, co-founder of Gainline Analytics, a Melbourne-based firm that deals in exactly this kind of thing. Gainline have modeled thousands of fixtures, across multiple sports, to come up with what they call TWI, a measure of the cohesion that a team has. The most important thing to understand is what cohesion is, says Darwin. People look at it from an output perspective. They're getting on really well, or playing in an effective manner, and that part is of no interest to us. We're not interested in whether people get on or they don't. We're also not really focused on outcomes, we're only focused on inputs. We focus on how a team is put together and what are the drivers of how it is put together. There's 2 different models, the franchise models and the representational models. The representational models will oftentimes be a victim of happenstance, of conditions under which people don't have a large amount of control. For example, the cohesion in Australian rugby union has changed dramatically over a very long period of time, but none of that has anything realistically to do with the people who are coaching the team. They really don't have a huge amount of impact on that. If you look at the Wallabies over the past 25 years, every coach that's come in has gotten worse than the guy before him. That's not a coaching thing, it's a structural issue. Some of those guys are very talented and some not so much, but it doesn't seem to have any variation on the outcome. State of Origin is very similar. Craig Bellamy, arguably the best club coach of the last 20 years, has the worst record for New South Wales.